Now I know what you're thinking when you clicked on this video. Fallout 76, amazing? That can't be. In this video, I am going to convince you all why Fallout 76 is amazing. It's definitely safe to say that Fallout 76 did have a very shoddy launch back in 2018 and has taken a long time for itself to work its way up to what it is today. But after all the content that Bethesda has added over the last 5-6 years, I am extremely confident in saying that Fallout 76 is one of the best multiplayer games out there right now, and why Fallout 76 is just purely amazing. Everything about it, honestly. First, we're going to be talking about the multiplayer aspects of Fallout 76, and honestly why it's one of the best multiplayer games that I've played. Over the last 5 years, Bethesda has really enhanced the multiplayer in Fallout 76. At launch, it was just teams. You could set up teams with friends, and you'd explore together. Now there are also public teams, there are also expeditions, there are also daily ops. There's so many things that you can do in the game with people, even if you don't even know them. You can make friends just by joining random public teams, joining up in parties and talking with people. You can quest together with daily ops and with the expeditions, get some pretty cool rewards, talk with each other, trade with each other, build with each other, explore with each other. Honestly, there's so many cool things about Fallout 76's multiplayer that I have to commend Bethesda for, because I know at launch that it wasn't what they wanted it to be, but now, honestly, like, they went off when you look at it completely. Like, their multiplayer aspects of this game are awesome, and I would honestly love to see it for future games like Starfield or maybe another Elder Scrolls, or continue it into Elder Scrolls Online. I'm also going to tell you right now, if you play Fallout 76 with friends, trust me, it is so worth it. It is so much fun. I just honestly loved, I even loved playing it at launch. Honestly, I loved the game since the very beginning, but walking around with the boys, like, we just walked. Right? We chose a direction and we walked in that direction until we had to stop or we died. We just kept going. We kept finding cool buildings. We kept finding cool enemies, cool weapons. We were scavenging for gear. We were picking up desk fans. Honestly, I don't know what was with, especially with Fallout 4 and with Fallout 76, I don't know what's with these games, but they are so much fun to just walk and scavenge. Like, Bethesda really just nailed that aspect of this game. Next, we're going to be talking about the map of Fallout 76 and a lot of points of interest that I just find amazing. The one thing I have to say about Bethesda with Fallout 76 is that this is their best map that they've ever made in any video game for themselves ever. Better than Starfield, better than Fallout 4, better than Fallout 3, Oblivion, Skyrim. This game just excels at it, honestly, with so many awesome locations, like a whole-ass Nuka-Cola plant, a food factory. They got Voltec University. They got whole-ass power plants that you can even actually do missions to charge up these power plants, and then you can build bases around them, and you'll collect the power. Honestly, that's so cool. They got the Fort, which is the Brotherhood base. They got Crater, which is the Raider base foundation. They have a bunch of farms everywhere where normal settlers are, little Raider camps. They have a whole-ass cult they made out of the Mothman. They turned the Mothman into a cult, and I honestly think that is so cool. One thing that we know Bethesda excels at is their world building, especially with their maps, and I'm just happy to say that since launch, their world building has been just amazing. They don't miss. They can make just like a skeleton with a note some sort of awesome storytelling, and they did that here, and they still do it. Even with the addition of NPCs back in 2020, they still did it. They did those things still, and honestly, like, it's just amazing that Bethesda is just the master of that. Like, I know with their recent history, they have kind of fell off on their world building sometimes and their story, but with the just map itself, like, they usually don't miss, right? When they handcraft it themselves, you know their map isn't gonna miss. And I'm also happy to report that there's so much enemy variety in this game. I'm telling you, they took every Fallout and just combine that shit. Like, they got all the Far Harbor, all of the Nuka worlds, I think some Fallout 3 enemies too. Just so much awesome stuff. And they brought all of those enemies together in this game. They spanned them out. They even added new ones like mole miners, like the Scorched. Like, there's so many cool enemies, and the Scorched beasts, holy shit. Like, don't ever call me until you get attacked by a Scorched Beast at a low level. You'll shit your fucking pants. You will want to run. Unless you have players with you, if you're alone and you're low level fighting a Scorched Beast, you're fucking screwed. It's so funny. Next, we're going to be talking about the events and questing. If you are playing Fallout 76 for that massive multiplayer experience with a bunch of cool events and questing, I'm telling you, Fallout 76 is here for you. There's so many awesome events. There's 3 world bosses. There's so many extra events they've added, like Test Your Metal. You can fight the Scorched Beast. You can fight Earl. Now, you might not know who Earl is, but you play enough, you'll figure out who it is. You can fight this huge mutated, like, fucking mole. I don't remember the name of the boss, but it's coming with the Nuka World DLC that they added, like, a year and a half ago. Honestly, it's really cool world boss. I'm hoping they add more world bosses as well, because honestly, this is also what Bethesda needs to focus on, as well as their endgame content. I hope with the map expansion that we get one more world boss. But for what they have now, I'm telling you, there's like probably over 20 to 30 events. And the majority of them are fun to play repeatedly. I recommend doing them all at least once just to try them. But doing them more than once, there's a few. Like Uranium Fever comes to mind. Test Your Metal comes to your mind. There's one Brahmin one, I'm forgetting what it was. You have to escort Brahmin through a tunnel. That is a fun one. That nets you some good rewards. There's a lot of events that just net you a lot of good rewards and a lot of cool plans as well. And the majority of the events are fun, and the questing as well. At launch, the majority of the questing was going from one area to another, and like all Bethesda games, really, that's all it is. And then obviously with little intricate plot points in between, which, I mean, it works, honestly. Bethesda's plot points, they work. If you're new to the game, even with NPCs, you still can continue the old quest. And then I recommend doing that as well, because then you get extra stuff for the Settler/Raider quest, which we'll get into a bit. But their questing and their events are just amazing. Next, we're going to be talking about the factions and the characters. The amount of factions, companions, characters in this game is actually astounding. There are several factions like the Blood Eagles, to the Mothman cult, to the Brotherhood of Steel, to the Raiders, to the Settlers, to the Super Mutants, to every other bug faction, or enemy, just like all those enemy types. And honestly, like, there's so much variety here for the factions and for the enemy types. Just have to commend them for that. And there's actually a lot of companions. There's two big companions. There is Sophia, and then there's Beckett, and I love both personally. They both have really cool quests. And then you have a bunch of smaller ones, which Bethesda counts as like their little tiny ones, where they'll just have some dialogue. Like, you have a doctor, you have a cook, you have some other companions. You'll have a wanderer who she plays her guitar in your camp. You'll have someone acting as a store, and there's a lot of cool companions. The main two have quest lines, which are basically just talk to them, go somewhere, grab that, come back, talk to them 15 to 12 times, which for me was okay because I was having a lot of fun with it. And those questing, like, the dialogue is really good. You might think, like, it is fetch questing. The actual questing is fetching. Like, you're grabbing something and coming back. That's all it is. But the dialogue, the writing, Bethesda honestly excelled at, and I have to commend them for that. And especially with the writing, with like all the characters and all the DLCs they added. Like, the Settlers are very well written, the Raiders are very well written, the Brotherhood of Steel, very well written. All of them, all of their tragedies that they've had to endure, especially when the Brotherhood had to like travel across the country just to make it to Appalachia. Like, their story and what they tell you, that what they had to go through, honestly, and like all the lore behind it, it's so cool. And I just recommend you playing it for yourself just to experience what they have to say. Next, we're going to be talking about the best part about a looter shooter multiplayer game: the weapons, armor, and the crafting systems. Okay, now in this section of the video, there is a ton to go over, so you're going to have to stick with me here. Okay. So, completing quests like the Settler, Raider, and Brotherhood quest lines, they net you the plans that you can get, or once you complete the main quest, they'll net you a new currency, which you can use to unlock new weapon plans. And then you have to scrap certain items, like, say, desk scans, like just any junk, to get those materials. And then you can also do events to earn materials. And then you can also nuke entire areas to also get materials like that. And there's just so much variety to this crafting as well. It is a grind. I'm telling you, this game is a grind once you get into it. If you want a certain weapon, you want to upgrade to a certain weapon, it's going to take a long time. It's probably going to take a few weeks for you to get your build built out, but it's a lot of fun. But to break it down for you, so you do the main quests, you collect the new currency, you buy plans from certain vendors, and then you learn those plans, and then you have to unlock the materials, and then you have the materials, and you have your plans. But then you also have to get your perk cards, so then you have to level up enough to unlock your perk cards, and then you have to level up, say, the Gunsmith 5, and then you're able to upgrade certain weapons, and then you have to upgrade them. But then you have to get the weapons too, so you have to complete events to get legendary modules and legendary cores, and now you can use those legendary modules to craft legendary weapons. So say if you're going for a low health damage build, you want a blooded weapon, okay, so you're going for a blooded minigun, you're going to have to craft a lot, either get very lucky, or you're just going to have to it's just a giant running gun, honestly. That's what it is. It's a grind, but once you get the build you want, and once you're comfortable with what you have, I'm just telling you, man, it is so much fun to just fucking rip into shit. It is a lot of fun. Like, as you can see on the screen, I have a 2-shot Gauss minigun on my heavy build. That gun is fucking broken, okay? That gun is absolutely insane. I love using it when just mowing down super mutants. Like, just thinking of a minigun, but then double. Like, it's honestly insane. And I love that Bethesda is just able to create these legendary weapons, like where, okay, look, I have a machine gun, right? But now it shoots 2 bullets. Or I have a machine gun, but now the bullets explode. Or now I have a machine gun, but the bullets ignore half of their armor. And then you can also put perk points onto it. So say if you have half armor off, you can get a perk point for rifles that takes off like another 20 to 30% of their armor. So they're almost armorless, right? You're just ripping them to shreds. And there's so many cool builds that people have done in the game. There's so many, like there's a melee build, there's stealth melee, there's heavy guns, there's rifle builds, there's shotgun builds, there's two-handed weapon builds. There's so much cool stuff that you can do. There's just explosive builds. I've seen people just use grenade launchers. I've seen people just use laser rifles. I've seen people do some stupid shit and just use their hands. Like, I mean, they can still do a lot of damage with their hands. I've seen grenades. Like, there's so many cool builds that you can have in this game. It does take a long grind in the armor as well. There's so many different types of armor. I am telling you, the amount of armor in this game is actually insane. Again, it's the same with the weapons though. You have to get the plans, then the currency, then buy the then just get all that stuff, and then you have to run and gun it. You know, you just have to keep grinding for that armor that you want if you want certain legendary armor. Recently, in the last year, they also added legendary power armor, which I would recommend. Honestly, if you're wearing power armor, it really doesn't matter what you get on it. I mean, like, power armor is also extremely strong, so getting legendary perks on it is just going to make it immediately better. Like, it could be the most useless perks to you. It's still just going to make it amazing. Next, we're going to be talking about all of the story and the DLC stories in Fallout 76. Since Bethesda released Wastelanders in 2020, I can confidently say that every other story expansion that they've released has been peak. I'm going to be honest. From Wastelanders to Steel Dawn to Steel Rain, every DLC, and I'm going to give it to you right now, a character from Fallout New Vegas, a voice actor, someone who voice acted a major character, a lovable character, someone that the majority of the Fallout New Vegas community loves, voices a villain in Fallout 76's Brotherhood of Steel story. And honestly, you're going to notice it right away. Like, you're going to notice it, because it took me a while to notice it. I had to wait till the second half of the DLC launched to even notice it. I wasn't even paying attention, and I was playing it. I'm like, holy fuck, it's that guy. I'm looking it up. I'm scrambling. I'm yelling at my buddy, it's this guy. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because I want you guys to find out for yourselves. But there's some pretty cool stuff here, honestly. Bethesda pulled fucking strings when getting that voice actor, I'm going to be honest, because that shit was honestly awesome. But getting back to the story, you have the three main stories. You have the Wastelanders, which was the Settler story, you have the Raider story, and then you have the Brotherhood of Steel story. Now, I'm going to give you a basic outline. There's a treasure in Appalachia, and the Settlers and Raiders have returned looking for it. There's also a bunch of other people in Appalachia looking for gold, and that's the treasure, of course. They're looking for the massive stockpile of potential gold that you can find. Your goal is to help the Settlers and Raiders. Now, since the Scorched are still a threat to them, you have to get them vaccinated. Now, I'm going to leave up to what happens to you guys. If you guys want to play it, I highly recommend doing it because it is a very creative quest on how you actually cure people. So I'd love that personally. But the goal is to cure the population of Appalachia, and then, you know, you could help them find this treasure and continue, you know, and whoever you give this treasure, you'll be giving a higher rise of power. Now, it won't really affect the world as it's a multiplayer game, but it will affect your story. It affects a lot of it, honestly. Like, characters will dislike you, and you make sure to do both quests, right? Because it'll give you a point of no return. Make sure you do both sides of the story before you choose who to go with. Because on my first playthrough, and funny enough, because you can't replay through the game unless you make a new character, I didn't play the Settler quests. I was completely oblivious to it. I just ran through the Raider shit. I didn't even focus on the point of no return. I kind of just did it. I completely regret it, because then you also have to grind a lot for the Settler rewards, because they'll still sell you the Settler rewards with the new currency they added back in 2020, but it took me like almost a month to get all of that shit, because nowadays, they actually increase the caps on those, so it's a lot easier to get these rewards. It'll probably take you like 3-4 times the speed to get it. It's way quicker, but like it still takes a long time. I just recommend doing the questing. And then the Brotherhood is Steel questline 2, which I actually like a bit better. It's where the Brotherhood is finally coming back to Appalachia after the events of the main campaign, where obviously they got booted out by the Scorched. So now they're back, and they're trying to reintegrate themselves into the society with the Settlers and Raiders. So obviously you have to make peace treaties and all that shit. You have to help barter trades, and it gets pretty cool. The first half is very basic like that. The second half, like once they split you off after an attack happens, the second half, it kind of goes fucking wild, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of big choices you can make. Major characters in that DLC can live, die, run, not run. And I'm hoping that they make a new Brotherhood questline sooner rather than later, because if they just ended off of where they ended it off, I mean, like, what was the point of that? Like, that was a cool ending too. The only issues that I would have with this game and the stories is that they make you make a new character replay this story. I would love, honestly, if Bethesda made it where we could just reset the clock. Like, even if we get lesser rewards, so if you get 50 caps, just let us replay the story on our big characters, because then we can just complete the story all we want, complete different quest lines, you know, do different options, and that would be a really cool addition to the game. And last, but certainly not least, nukes. One of the best parts about Fallout 76. Now, in the Fallout universe, every single vault, apparently except Vault 76, has an experiment attached to it. Like in Fallout 4, Vault 111, they cryogenically froze their residents. In Fallout 3, they gave the Overseer an overbearing amount of power, right? In Fallout New Vegas, one of the vaults, they gave their residents a bunch of weapons, like rockets and guns. In Fallout 76, Vault 76 was apparently a control vault. That's what they called it. Now, the alleged experiment by the community or by people who really are into the Fallout lore is that Vault-Tec's experiment was where you would throw 250 people into a vault. 25 years later, they'd emerge. Let's see what happens. Would they rebuild society? Would they use the nuclear arsenal that's given to them? What would they do? That was their experiment with the Vault 76 dwellers. How would they react to what is out there? And honestly, I think that is one of like the coolest lore building that Bethesda's ever done in a game. Like, just throwing a society of people into a world and like, what the fuck are they gonna do? Are they gonna rebuild? Are they actually gonna build towns? Are they gonna rebuild infrastructure? Or are they gonna break into a military installation, start hacking shit, and launch goddamn nuclear weapons on top again? Just redo the apocalypse, right? Just start bombing shit again, right? Now, with nukes in Fallout 76, it's actually an endgame item. It's not like it's like a moral decision you'll make. You launch them, you're supposed to launch them, right? For endgame loot. Now, you'll get endgame plants, which can help you make ammo. You'll get higher legendary enemies. The tactic into 2018-2019 was to launch a nuke at White Springs, and then there'd be hundreds of goals. I'm telling you, that was a farming method that people had in that game. I did that too when I was like way younger and I played the fucking lovey shit out of Fallout 76. We would launch nukes like we just keep farming the shit. We go server to server, launching nukes at White Springs, collecting all the plants and killing all the enemies. And it's a great farming method. But I also have to tell you guys that the nuclear detonations in Fallout 76 are just a sight to behold. Honestly, I'm not going to be putting anything in the gameplay that you're watching for these, because either I want you to search them up yourself, or I want you to go play this game and go do it yourself. I want you to go into a server, walk around, see if someone launches a nuke. You get that siren, you get that detonation, you run as close as you can where you can see that nuclear detonation go off, and you just witness in awe. I know Bethesda's engine is not like the best for graphics like that, but trust me, when they went off, the nuclear detonations look amazing. You can literally see them across the map. I was once in my camp, and I saw that shit over a mountain. Like, I just saw the top of the mushroom cloud. If that's not fucking badass, I don't know what is. And there you have it, everyone. All of those reasons on why Fallout 76 is just an amazing video game. Now, I hope that after you watch this video, you consider playing the game. It is usually very cheap on the Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam stores. It's in Game Pass. It was in PS Plus about late last year. Now, I just recommend playing this game. It's 60 FPS on Xbox Series S, X, and PS5. They had a patch for it. It's not enhanced, but they have unlocked the frame rate. So there's no better time, honestly, to get into the game. There's so many events. They're doing a map expansion in like 2-3 months, or like later this year. It's gonna be awesome, and I'm really hoping that the community just keeps getting bigger, because I love this game. Every time this game gets an update, I always go back in to see what's new. I play for like 5, 10, 15, 20 hours. I get lost in the world again. I just start exploring, scavenging, doing all that stuff. I start making new builds, and it's so much fun, and I love this game. And I've put over like 70 days into the game. Like, this is like probably my second most played game ever after GTA Online. And I just love this game. I know there was a lot of criticism behind the game at launch, but as someone who's stuck with the game since the beginning and followed Fallout 76 YouTubers that like always would cover news on the game and speculate, honestly, like, if you are a big Fallout 76 fan, you probably know who I'm talking about. But like all those YouTubers that would always just like give us news updates and like all these leaks, and it would be so awesome, honestly, to follow that and play this game and just listen to it. And I loved that part of Fallout 76. I loved that time, because that was like peak Fallout 76 for me. But at the end of the day, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know if I convinced you to at least try the game, honestly, or if you have played the game and you're going to go back into it when the next update drops, or whatever, honestly. But I want to thank you all for watching the video, and I will see you all in the next one.